a wonderful opportunity for us to grow programs geared specifically towards them and their changing needs. We want to be on this educational journey with them.
To just come and show up and race how I did, I was happy with it. I've also gotten to a point where I know that every time I get in the pool, I'm just going to do the best that I can do.
And school security is getting an upgrade here in Madison County. Find out what the Board of Education is doing in their next steps.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
You're looking at the library in Barrow Arts and Science Academy.
I apologize for the technical difficulties, but today I am going to give you an in-depth look of career and college-ready performance index scores. I took a look at 5 different counties. Let's zoom in and get a closer look at these county scores. So first up, as you can see, Athens-Clarke County is sitting at the lowest score at 72.3, as compared to other counties surrounding it. Oconee County and Fulton County are of the more higher scoring counties, where Oconee County actually increased by 3.6% from 2023 to 2024. And Jackson County and Barrow are still on the lower end, but still not as low as Athens-Clarke. And this has been your education update. Back to you, Gunter.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. We're back with our regularly scheduled programming. And thanks again to Rachel. You mentioned Barrow County is one of the 426 schools scoring in the bottom quartile, but there are still some achievements to highlight over in the northeast part of Georgia.
Newsource reporter Megan Pastino has the story on how a team of Barrow County students came out on top in literacy.
Library in Barrow Arts and Science Academy. You may also be looking at the key to unlocking reduced truancy, higher rates of high school graduation, improved student mental health, and increases to the struggling youth literacy rates in the state of Georgia. I'm here at the Barrow Arts and Science Academy, now home to the 2025 Helen Ruffin Reading Bowl Eastern Regional Champions. This week, 8 high schoolers have much to celebrate after taking home first place at the Eastern Regional competition of the Helen Ruffin Reading Bowl.
I'm definitely going to miss this. Helen Ruffin was definitely like the highlight of my high school time, like hands down.
But the reward for competing goes beyond trophies and championships. The community built by this group may be the reason their star team member is graduating at all.
I would have dropped out without you, Miss
Shelley. Oh,
I would have. Peace. Bye-bye.
Moments like these are happening at every grade level in the state of Georgia, with the Helen Ruffin Reading Bowl spanning from kindergarten through 12th grade.
For the younger kids, I don't know. I think for younger kids, it's the instant gratification. They need something to be like, I won. I know when we see the kids at regionals, the elementary school kids, they're just so happy to be there and that they can get a trophy. Like, they don't really care what they placed in. They're just happy that they put in the work towards something and then they got the reward for it. And I think as you grow and get to middle and high school, you're not hanging on that instant gratification as much, but you're willing to put in that work now without the gratification, if that makes any sense.
For Sully and her team, the hard work is not over, with the state championship taking place at UGA on March 22nd. I'll bring you the latest as that unfolds. Regardless of the result, graduating seniors like Sully assure us that their relationship with reading is far from over.
Definitely. I think I would love to volunteer, and if possible, I wish it was a collegiate sport. I think that would be a great thing in the state of Georgia. I know there's a lot of people who graduated who were really sad about leaving Helen Ruffin permanently. So I don't know if we could expand it to college. That would be great.
I'm Megan Pastino with Grady Newsource.
Let's keep the good vibes going because Nicholson Library is doing some great things for homeschooled kids. Our reporter, Blake Kavanaugh, has the story on how some board games and lunch is bringing students together.
This is Casey and Nick, but they won't see each other in the hallways at school. They're homeschooled, and they are at the Homeschool Adventure Lunch program, hosted by the Nicholson Library.
And especially during winter months or unpredictable weather months, we wanted the kids to have a place that they could come to and socialize, play games, meet new friends.
When he was at school, like, he dreaded going every morning. Like, it was a drag. But with this, like, he's just more sociable, and it's exciting. He like it.
But it doesn't cover everything.
I think it's important for the kids that at home that they get to be around their age group and then get their fellowship with them.
They are in homeschool Facebook groups that take trips every week, but it's not always so easy.
This like convenient because I asked her, Miss Sherry, like, can she start a group here instead of, because we be going to like Browserton and all. I need something like close.
She is just one of many homeschooler parents who attended a homeschool resource fair last September and wanted more programs offered to their youth.
It's a wonderful opportunity for us to grow programs geared specifically towards them and their changing needs. We want to be on this educational journey with them.
Blake Kavanaugh, Grady Newsource.
In light of the Appalachia High School shooting, heightened school security is on the way in Madison County.
The Madison County Board of Education is set to hire a safety director, a brand new position that the board is looking to fill before the end of the school year. Reporter Jack Keys has the story.
I've really tried to narrow this position to where their sole responsibility is about safety.
Demands for more robust school safety continue to be echoed around the country. And in Madison County, security upgrades are around the corner.
We have lots of layers that try to, aim at keeping us safe. But there's a human element that, we need somebody that's their responsibility, and that's what they're focused on day in and day out.
Goodrow says a plan has been in place to hire a safety director since the idea was approved in the board's budget last summer.
So I think that's a great idea to get something in place.
The plan matters to Kendra Brown. Her 2 children attend school in Madison County, and a security director would make a difference to her.
To make the parents and the children feel safe, and the staff.
The position would coordinate all facets of security within the district's 10 schools, making sure each layer of security, from the school perimeter to the classrooms, is secured.
None of the layers by themselves prevent, some tragedy from happening. The hope is you put enough layers in place that you catch it before it happens.
Both Brown and Goodrow cite another reason very close to home.
Appalachia is the first school I taught at.
I do. I have a very close friend that was actually at that school when that incident happened, so it kind of hit home.
And so it's really close to home, and you have these concerns. You want to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can do.
Jack Keys, Grady Newsource.
We'll be back with more news after this break.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd, and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Just listen to the sound.
Welcome back to Grady Newsource. What if the key to better mental health was right in your backyard? Free, accessible, and designed just for you. As mental health concerns grow, one man dedicated his life to creating outdoor spaces in Athens that could change the way you feel, one step at a time.
Just listen to the sound of this relaxing water here at Ben Burton Park in Athens. This could be your start to a better mental state without costing you a dime.
Nationally have shown and that being outdoors in nature is peaceful, it's calming, and can do nothing but help your mental health.
37 years. With 7 years being director, Kilpatrick helped lead efforts to expand Athens parks, trails, and green spaces, believing that time outdoors can improve mental health. Athens resident Savannah Williams is also an avid walker of the Greenway Trails.
Greenway because it's a space that me and my friends can go walk on pretty often. If I have a rough day or even if I just want to get outside, I go and I walk on the Greenway. That's
Research shows, according to the University of California, Davis, that nature helps decrease your anxiety, can help lessen stress and feelings of anger. Kilpatrick's works brought this idea home, making outdoor wellness accessible to all, free of charge, and right here in Athens' backyard.
Over 50 miles of trails, and the vast number of people that enjoy those on a daily basis. A lot of that is for their mental health, even if they don't realize it.
Mental health in the spotlight, Leisure Services Director Kent Kilpatrick designed spaces like this for restoration within the Athens area. I'm DeAndre Harris, Grady Newsource.
Next up, we'll hear from you, Rachel, about the SEC Swimming and Diving Championships and how one UGA swimmer is prepping for a run at the national title.
And 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woo-hoo. Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to Grady Newsource. Our reporter Rachel Sandstrom got a chance to catch up with this year's SEC Swimming and Diving Scholar Athlete of the Year, Georgia's Abby McCullough, after the SEC Swim and Dive Championships this past weekend at UGA's Gabrielson Natatorium.
The NCAA Swimming Championship is coming up in a little over 2 weeks. The Bulldogs are preparing after coming off a very successful SEC championship last week. Swimmer Abby McCullough took home the silver medal in the 1650 free, finishing with a time of 15:45.77.
To just come and show up and race how I did, I was happy with it. I've also gotten to a point where I know that every time I get in the pool, I'm just going to do the best that I can do. So I knew that I gave it my everything. I scored as many points as I could for the team. So yeah, overall I was happy with it.
As the NCAA championship approaches, McCullough tells me about what she plans to do to prepare.
The preparation is always the same. I think for me, the only difference this time is I'm trying to prepare myself to be done. It's going to be so weird to swim my last race ever. So just kind of trying to savor those moments with my team.
The Bulldogs will continue training up until the NCAA championship, starting with the women's team on March 19th through the 22nd, and the men's team finishing up on March 26th through the 29th. McCullough tells me the team's goals for the championship.
So just going out there and doing our best and representing Georgia and hopefully bringing home some really fast times, and we'll see. It should be good.
The Bulldogs will make their way to Washington to compete in the NCAAs starting on March 19th. Stay tuned after the break to hear more from Gunter on this week's 5-day weather forecast.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Welcome back. The sun is back out in the Athens area following a cold and windy weekend, and we'll be seeing much calmer winds and sunny skies throughout the week. A high of 64 today and temperatures dropping to just 40 tonight, but it should be great weather to start the week too. Sunny skies and temperatures climbing all the way into the low 70s on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're even expecting some more sunny skies on Thursday morning too, before some scattered showers beginning Thursday afternoon about 1 p.m. Going into Thursday night, 20% chance of rain then, and similar temperatures though, from a low just under 40 degrees to a high of about 69. But then Friday, sunny weather is coming back. Temperatures will drop a few degrees with a high of about 62, but it still should be a great day to get outside and enjoy the start of the weekend in the Athens area. It should be a fun time, and warmer weather is on its way at the perfect time ahead of UGA spring break next week in the first week of March. And we'll be back after this short break with a special birthday celebration in the Oconee County and a Q&A on the Champs program. Stay tuned.
Foster care. I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Your home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back from the break. Newsource reporter Holly Kate O'Brien has a story on the Oconee County Champs program, stopping kids from falling for real-world dangers. Holly Kate, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Gunter, today I went to Oconee County Sheriff's Office and spoke with Sergeant Candy Marchman. She has been the lead programmer for this organization called Champs since 2006. The program focuses on teaching 5th graders how to avoid predators online, drug abuse, and all kinds of different programs. Take a look at my package to see more.
Think about this. What if you could give kids like this the tools to help combat online dangers and peer pressure before they even step foot in middle school? Well, the Champs program is doing just that, teaching Oconee County 5th graders ways to combat these stressors and teaching them skills to use in their everyday lives.
They're chatting with complete strangers, and they start to think of those strangers as friends. And so we've got to teach them, these are not your friends, these are strangers.
Starting with just 4 schools in 2006, now the program is reaching over 600 students across all schools in the county. The program goes over things like peer pressure, online safety, bullying, and so much more. But over the years, the program coordinators have had to combat the struggles of what is happening in the children's lives right now, which tend to be gaming and social media. That's why Sergeant Candy Marchman's efforts go way beyond school walls. When one of her students called 911, when someone broke into her house, the dispatcher asked her if she knew what to do, and she responded with, "Yes, I learned this in my Champs program the previous week."
So I feel like even if it just helps one student, then it's made its impact.
For Heath Paul, that impact became a career, deeply rooted in the lessons he learned in his previous years. Now as a communications officer, Paul credits the program with shaping his path in law enforcement, where he continues to carry forward the lessons of personal responsibility and safety.
To save people around us life, but our life as well, because our life is valuable just as much as everybody else's.
The Champs program's lasting impact continue to shape students like Heath Paul, who carry its lessons into their everyday lives and career pathways. Holly Kate O'Brien, Grady Newsource.
Thanks for that, Holly Kate. Next up, Oconee County turns 150 years old tomorrow. The county celebrated with a birthday bash this past Saturday.
Grady Newsource reporter Aaron Pagenkopf has the story.
Oconee County was once part of Athens-Clarke County. Together, they were once one of the last stops on the American frontier, but today serve separately as 2 historically rich counties in northeast Georgia.
We were all one big happy county back in 1801. In 1875 is when Oconee County
broke off and became we became our own county. So this was a part of having our own independence and having our own Independence Day.
February 25th marks Oconee County's 150th birthday. This past Saturday, the county put on a birthday bash to celebrate its independence from Athens-Clarke County. The split came soon after the Clarke County chair moved from Watkinsville to Athens in 1872, sparking the western citizens of the county to have one of their own.
I mean, I just think you're supposed to bloom where you're planted. But when I came to Oconee County in 1999, recently married, and I just wanted to be a part of the community. I think it just starts with each one of us, a way to give back.
Oconee County hosts events such as its 150th birthday bash throughout the year to connect with the community, honor its history, and make way for the future.
I walk out here today, I see friends, I see family, I see people that I have seen, you know, every day. I see people that I haven't seen since maybe I moved here, but they're still part of Oconee County.
Aaron Pagankoff, Grady Newsource.
Looks like they had a lot of fun at that birthday bash. Thanks so much for watching tonight. This was Grady Newsource. I'm Rachel Sandstrom.
And I'm Gunter Schroeder. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great night.
Pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Yeah, okay. And we have quite a few people here to say it. We have recruiters here from Gray Television. Gray is one of the larger companies in the United States. It works in television news, giant footprint in sports, giant footprint in national investigative work. So they're heavy hitters and big players, and we're very happy you're here. Aisha Tyler, Michael Oder, before you hear from them, and Michael is the new news director at WTOC in Savannah. Aisha, you just recruit all over the place, right?
I do. I recruit
newsroom myself in Charleston, South Carolina, as an anchor reporter. So.
There we go. So see, they know what they're looking for. But before we get started, let's hear from our senior production manager from Kira Mermelstein. Kira, take it away.
Okay, hey.
Hey.
Okay, so on the tech end today, we had a couple of things that happened. On our end, not y'all, we had a mic that had a low battery that we didn't get to mic check, and a couple of other just little tech things that we had to fix up in the A block. But once we got it all sorted by like the second package or so, looked awesome. Very, very proud. Special shout out to our tech staff today. We had a new director who's only done it a couple of times, and we had a technical director. We had all kinds of things going on in there, so proud of them. And then special shout out to y'all. I know y'all had a lot of moving pieces today. Shout out to Holly Kate, who got thrown in at the very, very end. Special shout out. And then from y'all with us, I appreciate today y'all were really good about communicating if something was coming in late, if something was not where we thought it was gonna be. We really appreciate that. It helps our team a lot. I'm gonna say this every single week till the end of time, but don't be late, love you. But if you're gonna be late, today was really wonderful. Y'all told us as early as you possibly could so that we knew what we were waiting for and we knew what to look for, so we really appreciate that. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Kira. Thank you. And now let us hear from Aisha and Michael. Please feel free to share all your thoughts, feelings, critiques, and this is a group that truly wants to know.
Yeah, well, you're the news director, so I'm going to let you sort of open the floor.
I didn't realize that you guys stream your debriefs on YouTube, so I'm going to have to heavily edit what I'm going to say to you. No, that's a lie. First of all, tremendous work. The fact that you can all come together, that you can find really interesting and impactful stories in the community, that you're turning those stories, that you're working together as an organization. I would imagine for some of you, and the very first time that you've ever done an endeavor like this to put on a production, that is no small task. Please do not take it for granted. As you continue in this career, it may feel easier and easier and easier, but know that it is a very monumental task that you do, no matter if you are out in the field reporting, you are in the studio anchoring, you are in the control room punching buttons and bringing microphones up. The fact that you can all get together and coordinate that effort is stupendous. So you should all be very proud of yourself for that. Please give yourselves a round of applause for that. It's okay, we celebrate the wins. Beyond that, solid newscast. I was reflecting and having a little bit of PTSD from when I was in college, way back when, on how the newscast we did went on air. And I think that while we had good content, the stories that I watched this newscast I thought were really very impactful and hard-hitting and educational. I learned a few things through all of them. So I think that that's a tremendous point in your favor on that as well. Technical errors aside, right? The fact that we're all coming together, that you're creating these stories, that you're turning things on deadline is an important thing to practice over and over again. There were a couple of things in stories that as I saw reels today from some of your fellow students as they came to talk to us in one-on-ones, and one story in particular that I want to point out that I think is a good reminder and tip. Try to remember the location in which your story is happening. If your story happens outside, try and do your interviews outside. If your story's happening inside, it's okay to do your interviews inside. It's a viewer psychology thing, right? If you're doing a story about a park and then we go inside to somebody's office and then we go back outside to the park again and then we go back into their office, you're taking your viewer to a lot of places. So even if it's just asking somebody to step outside the building and do the interview, that helps keep it in the same type of environment. So something to think about, not only just in what videos you have to get for your story, what visuals you're going to use, what words you're going to write, but think about where you're doing those interviews as well, because that can really help make your story. Let me go back and start that sentence again. When you put your story together, it's a game of, okay, if I didn't get the video that I needed, how do I make what I have work for me? Is it off?
Is your mic on? Oh, okay. Never mind. You were good.
Hello? Check, check.
You know how producers are.
I
always
assume
checking
somebody
everything.
would have said, hey,
Yes.
we can't hear you.
We're good.
Yeah, so as viewers are watching, any distraction will take them out of a story, right? If you're doing a story about construction, but you don't hear the jackhammers that you're seeing on TV, that viewer goes, why don't I hear those jackhammers, right? You're watching a story about Georgia football, but you don't hear the crowd. They think, why don't I hear the crowd? Now they're not watching your story. They're thinking about why they can't hear that thing. So as you put your story together, look at the things that may distract a viewer. A shaky piece of video, something that's not quite in focus, and think, okay, what can I do to fix that? What can I do to take that distraction away? Because what you want them to be paying attention to is the content in your story, right? And the visuals that you're using to do that. So it's that game of how can I reduce the number of distractions in my story that may take away from it. Some of it you can, some of it you can't. You know, there are deadlines. We got to get stories on the air. But thinking about some of those small things will really help smooth over a story. I will tell you that clean audio any day of the week will help make up for the lack of video in your story, because the audio will be the first thing that takes somebody out of a story. You know, no background noise, no gnats when you go to gnats. They don't care that they saw that shot 3 times because they heard it, and that may help smooth some things over. So, little piece there. Your thoughts?
Well, you said everything. It was good. What you said was good. Really, I would just add, you know, it's really not how you always start. It's how you finish. And I know that's cliche, but it's true. And you all hung in there, you know, in spite of little hiccups, you know, you smoothed through it and had a good show overall. I think, like you said, the content was really good of the stories that you all cover. And yeah. Give yourself another hand clap, because, I mean, you're going to continuously grow. Repetition is your best friend. And, you know, that's what I've learned while being in.
Microphones are the bane of every newscast existence. So don't feel like it is a unique issue that only happens here. Batteries run out. People forget to turn their microphones back on. I know people who have been doing it for decades who will start a break and come back from a commercial break and just microphone's not on anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they stepped out to have a conversation, didn't turn it back on.
Oh, or
so,
went to the restroom.
Yep, went to the bathroom.
Smart enough to turn it off though before
That's
going.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reporters, how many of you turned content for today? There weren't a lot of stand-ups, so I'm trying to just put faces to names. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, I saw a stand-up next to the sign in your. I didn't mean to laugh. You apologize. The sign you stood next to was rough looking though. Yeah, and that's why I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, it's like that was a part of the story. Okay, so yeah, it was good. A little pat on the back there. Cool. Do you guys have questions?
Yeah. Open the
comments, concerns?
It's his world. We just live in it. And
That's it. We're all supporting cast. I thought it was good. I thought the stand-up was well framed. And again, I think that forgive me, my memory is not all that good, and the specifics of the story. But I do remember the stand-up, and I remember that I thought that it was it was a well-composed shot, and a nice tag on that story.
The interview was good.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. There was one story where the young lady was was it a library? I'm trying to remember. Oh, she's not here. Yeah,
Megan Pastino's
story. Yeah, I probably, framing of the interview of the subject, I would have talked with her about that.
The school safety story. Yeah. The interview with the superintendent. The Zoom interview? Okay. Fooled me at first. Because of the way that he was sat in that shot, it almost looked like he was looking a little off camera, but he was on the third there on the right-hand side of the screen. It wasn't until there was like an audio thing where I thought, oh, that sounds a little bit like Zoom audio, which is fine because, again, thanks to the pandemic, the audience gives us a little bit of grace there on that. But then I saw the name at the bottom. I was like, oh, it is a Zoom interview, and I didn't think about it just in the way that I don't know whether you coached him to sit that way.
He showed up on my camera, and I was like,
jackpot. Yeah. Dear Diary. Well, I won the lottery today. Yeah.
Normally you're telling people over.
Yeah.
No, I would say that guy's probably had some media coaching at some point. But I did think that was I think it's fair that as we're interviewing people virtually to give them some of our knowledge on how to best look good on TV.
Right.
Raise your laptop up, turn the lamp towards you, you know, take the weird things off the wall behind you, or just, you know, don't look down into your phone like this. Because no, I thought that I didn't know whether that was a guidance on your end or if you just showed up and sat that way, but it didn't necessarily immediately register as a Zoom interview, which I thought, oh, okay, cool. We worked well there on that. Yeah.
It's my first time kind of like doing anchoring this semester, so I guess I just wanted to ask because Tunbi, our producer, kind of said a little bit that I was like at one point maybe looking a little tense on camera. So I guess I just had some questions. You know, what kind of advice do you have to look as natural as possible on camera? And is that standing at a certain sitting at a certain angle?
Yeah.
Talking in a certain way, things like that.
You had probably more anchoring time than I did. Do you have thoughts?
I mean, I always sort of, the way I look at it is as if you're talking to your parent, your mom, just telling her what's going on, just being as natural as you can, not thinking about how many people are really watching. Again, with time, it just gets a lot easier and less tense. But I think, in every show, before every show, I was always a little bit like, okay, let's get this show going.
I was feeling that a little bit, but
yeah, so that's
once
normal.
the camera comes on, it probably goes away.
Should I be talking in this?
Okay. What your job is. So, well, I mean, and I guess the microphone fiasco had a little bit of.
It can throw you.
It can throw you off, but you just sort of, you don't show it on your face to the audience. You don't make, quick motions or, faces that are obvious to the viewer. You just sort of naturally just turn it back on if it's turned off and keep going. Or if, apologizing to the audience if you're having technical difficulties, that's good because they can tell when certain things are going awry. And just being natural and letting them know, hey, we had a little bit of technical difficulties with that, but moving on, blah, blah, blah. Just keep it going. Make it natural. Don't make it so abrupt and, I have to control the facial gestures and things of that nature. But
As like a follow-up, I also kind of try to work on my tone, make it sound like as natural as I can, but also professional. Where would you guys say, aim for this? Would you aim to be more natural on camera? And are there any ways that you yourself have done that in the past where you're like, okay, this makes me, feel more comfortable, but it also improves my on-camera presence, something like that?
I have some thoughts there.
Yeah, okay.
I would say, first of all, kudos to the producer for pivoting to Rachel when the microphone didn't work.
Yeah.
Great move there. Good execution, good thinking on your feet, and way to be ready to get into your story there, because I don't think the prompter was where it needed to be for you to start talking. So.
Well, honestly, it was like an ad-lib, so I was.
Okay, great. So there weren't even words there to be.
Yeah,
So, great. As far as finding your authentic voice, I would say try to keep it as close to your natural voice as possible. Now, it all depends on kind of what your natural voice sounds like. And to do that, you maybe need to record yourself talking or have a conversation or reading something. But the more affectation you put onto it, the more you will have to because this is the instrument that you're using on television, it just means that you then have to force whatever it is to be there's the prototypical anchor voice, right? Good evening and welcome, and I hope that you're having a wonderful night, and nobody talks like that.
No.
And so I would say getting used to the way that your voice sounds, number one, because none of us talk out loud to ourselves or narrate what we're doing. I don't think so. And if not, don't admit it now. But get used to the way that your voice sounds, because you're going to have to hear it a lot, and understand that how you can do that by just reading things out loud. That'll also help you with your cold reads. Should a script get thrown at you and you've read the newspaper, then you kind of understand some things and can kind of see the script as it comes at you. But yeah, I would say rather than sounding, quote, professional, I would much rather you sound like Gunter.
Right.
And that, you're giving me the news. And so when it's natural and comfortable, then you aren't straining any part of your body or your throat to make that thing. And you'll understand that, like, as you sit at a desk and anchor, your body tenses in weird ways. You're wearing a jacket, you're sitting, like, you have to figure out how your body moves and how to position yourself to have the breath support that you need, because you are going to be talking for potentially 30 minutes.
Right.
So I would say the sooner that you can start to be aware of yourself and how you're sitting and how you're feeling and what your voice sounds like normally, and trying to just bring more, I always talk about like more volume, not volume or energy. You don't need to be louder than you normally are, but you don't want to run out of breath towards the end of your sentence, and then have to pick it back up again and then only run out. So you want to make sure that your natural voice is full from beginning of the sentence to the end of the sentence. And then that way, you just work on your breathing and stuff.
One of the things that's really helpful with that is we're constantly talking about short declarative sentences. Yeah. One noun, one verb, a direct object. That's the reason. It allows the anchor to be punchier. And tell me if this is still safe to say, did you ever have writers that you particularly liked working with because they would write for your style?
Yes. Yeah. I had a different producer for the 4:30 a.m. I had a different producer for the 4:30, and then a different one for the 5, and another one for the 6. And yeah, certain ones knew the way that I speak on a regular and wrote that way. So it just sounds more natural, like I'm just having a conversation.
So that's going to be important. And I would imagine, I think you touched on this, going in as an anchor and talking to the reporters about keeping up with the news, talking to the reporters about what the story's about. If something goes wrong in the prompter, you can ad-lib and not be a goober. But the other thing is, it allows you to safely maybe edit a script where the sentence is too long for you, or where it will be more suitable to your style without being in danger of changing the meaning in any way.
Exactly.
So,
and I was also good for always putting in pronouncers.
Yeah. Yes.
Very helpful. Because that was helpful. There were plenty of times that I'm like, ooh, this word's going to catch me if I don't put a pronouncer in there.
That's a smart idea.
And I would say that's where I think the relationship between anchor and producer especially is important. In knowing, me for example, I don't like the word began or begun, or it feels weird to me. Things started at this time. It started in 2003. So I'm immediately going to change those words. And if you have a producer who knows how you prefer what word to change, you really do work back and forth. They are not mind readers, though. So if you're anchoring and you're working with a producer, share your preferences there. Hey, look, you put this word in here. It's not really a word that I would use, or it's a little too long for me, or I didn't really, understand it. And talk back and forth on how they write, how you write. That's your job as an anchor there, is to make sure that you can say all of the words that are written on the teleprompter and execute and present the news in a way that is clear, concise, and easy to understand. To do that, you've got to work really well with your producer. You've got to work and understand what reporters are working on. And by taking an interest, then you're bringing everybody sort of together in that process.
Right. I have a question for you all. So at the end of the show, you saw Holly Kate's video.
Yeah.
Were you all able to hear it?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. So what were your thoughts? That was produced for YouTube. Okay. So it's a different vibe. What were your thoughts seeing that run on the air? Was it disconcerting? Was it...
For Facebook.
Huh?
Facebook.
For Facebook. Sorry.
For YouTube my Facebook, whatever the conglomerate, what is it from 30 Rock? You twit face or something like that?
Yeah.
New social media face? Sorry.
all
was
of
a terrible
all of the
joke.
above.
I'm going to go
all of
now.
No, we're working. We got it.
I just need to get out of here as
We've
quickly
all
as
laughed. Now
possible.
come
okay,
back.
Thanks.
So what were your thoughts?
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're my favorite now.
She's a graduate student. She'll need a job.
Perfect. Okay. About the story.
Yeah, because it was different.
Yeah, it was definitely a different style. The editing was different. I turned to you in the studio about how she used her laptop to cycle through photos there at the beginning. I thought, oh, that's kind of neat. That's a prop. That worked for me. We cut to these interviews that were kind of far away and over to the side. And then we cut back to like you in a chair, sort of sitting back with your knee up a little. And I didn't know if we were supposed to was it a pseudo me interviewing these two people? But I'm outside and they're inside. Again, environment and where the story happens. And so that kind of threw me, but I would say, I don't know that it was bad. I think that especially the manner in which a lot of content on YouTube is being put together is probably a little bit more informative sometimes than what we get on the evening news, and that many of those folks are really creative with graphics and information and find ways to put that together.
Yeah. Aisha, any thoughts?
I mean, I feel the same way. I didn't see anything that, just stuck out like a sore thumb. It was creative. That's, I'm trying to think of, because I saw so many stories, but no, I didn't see anything that just stood out that I didn't like about it.
So what's interesting to me is that these two who are professionally in it right now don't appear, and correct me if I'm wrong, terribly disconcerted by it. So what does that say? That we are in the profession becoming more accepting of things that are different and not looking for, bulletproof polyester young people to come into our newsrooms.
Sure.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I'll preface this statement by saying I don't speak for Gray Media, nor do I have their representation. It's not bad. But I would tell you that every news director across the country is trying to figure out the path forward. And we know that people aren't always going to turn their televisions on to watch our content. So where can we bring the content to them at? I think it's very clear that X and Facebook have devalued news and information on those platforms. So we're not reaching the people that we should be reaching in the way that we want to be reaching them on those platforms. So how are we doing it in other ways? And I think that's the question right now. So does that mean we make a pivot to doing more YouTube content? Probably. Are we to take the content we're already making for TV, because that is still the main revenue generator for us right now? And I say right now because that could very well pivot. But I think it's not unreasonable to say in the near future, you'll start to see TV stations and especially local news outlets make the pivot from broadcast focused to content focused. Has she been telling you that? She looks like she's been telling you that.
Does that make sense to you all?
So like instead of me being the news director and our goal being that we have a 6 to 7 and an 11 p.m. newscast every night, and those are our destinations that we are aiming for, the cycle just sort of continues. And the 6 and 7 and 11 are just stops along the way that we put content into, but we continue to put content on other platforms, on our streaming app, on our smartphone app. We continue to, push content back to the website because that's where we know we can get credit for it, essentially, for those people who are coming back to view and watch video. So instead of being a broadcast-focused industry, we make it sort of platform agnostic. And the story gets done when the story is done. We still probably work on a daily deadline, but maybe that daily deadline is 5 p.m. and everything is done by 5, or maybe that deadline is 7 p.m. and everything's done for 7. And we just sort of work to build content for it. Again, I don't speak entirely for Gray Media, so don't take that, take that with a grain of salt. Those are the conversations I'm having as a news director in my market, which is how do I prepare for the future, and how do I find my audience, because my audience is scattered now across several different platforms.
So a couple of quick notes. Whose idea was it to use the SOT from Rachel from the swimmer in the headlines? Okay, I was happy to finally see that. Good for you. Good for you. I love the stand-ups. Wonderful when we start using SOT. So now we've crossed another hurdle and another competition. So let's see who can come in and go, I got it. I got the chief SOT. It's the best thing ever. I need to be in the heads. Okay? Let's fight for that. Remember when I talked about labeling the boxes, our 2 boxes? Let's remember to do that. And it's hard. We're just trying to get the content in. We're just happy that we don't have, a minute of black. We're glad we have audio and all that stuff, but we can't, but the details matter. let's let people know what they're seeing. You know, this is about test scores. It's about, you know, education. This is about crime, whatever it is. Let's make sure we don't have any naked boxes, all right? Consistent fonts, probably time now. I know we're still learning. We're still getting comfortable with Premiere editing. Some of us still using, you know, a little CapCut, little iMovie, throwing it in there. But we've got all the proper fonts in there. We need to start being cohesive with the fonts, okay? You guys are a pro outfit. You're going to want this stuff on your reels to look professional. Watch the dissolves. I noticed in Megan's story, we had dissolves in the stand-up. And part of me, I'm kind of like, ooh, because you know on social media, people do dissolves all day long, right? Right, so it was a social story that we put on. So how do we feel about that? How do we feel about seeing that on air?
How do you feel about that as a news director?
Oh, as a news director?
Yeah.
I hate dissolves. I hate dissolves.
I kind of hate dissolves too because I think they look like you're artificial.
I would say a dissolve needs to be intentional. It usually needs to show like a change in something. Everything can be done with a simple cut. Or an occasional star wipe. No.
How did you feel about the simple cut, though? Because normally, you simply, in your stand-up, it would be, you know, one track.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have a cut at all.
Sure. Well, unless you're doing a multi-part stand-up, right?
True.
Like
going from
you're
one location.
You're going from one location or one position to another position, you would have that cut there. This is my belief. I think the cut is perfect. I think it's you're moving from one thing to the next. A dissolve should be there to, again, in my opinion, create an effect or an emotion for something. A fade to black in a story, obviously, if we're talking about something a little more serious, that fade to black tells you, oh no, we're changing tone here, right? A dissolve between two shots, maybe at two different times, a car accident scene, you know, video from a car accident scene, potentially crossfaded to the scene in current day where it's cleaned up and maybe you only see the marks on the road there. That creates a visual message to that person that time has passed, that we're transitioning to a different place or a different time. Beyond that, everything I think should be a cut. Sorry.
Well, don't be sorry. Holly Kate, good job.
So it got thrown in last minute? Was that like during the show? Well done. You didn't, but it was already done. They were just like, we need you to get up here and present this now. Well done. Yeah, I'd say. Yeah. I heard the floor director say they were making a change, but I did not realize you guys were shoehorning in another package. That's good work. Would not have noticed that it wasn't planned.
Jack, be real careful about, and everybody, not just Jack, but today, your sound bites were at a great level. Your track was lower, and it causes the audio people to have to kind of ride the pod a little bit. So just check your gain, and check it on the view meter. Don't check it in your ear. Our ears are, you know, they'll fool us. Maybe it's just my ears that fool me. No, ears will fool you. There's a reason you look at the view meter, so you can tell that everything's aligned right. As you mentioned, Michael, It's so important. Got it. It's so important. The audio's just critical. And Blake, was there any reason why you couldn't talk to those kids?
I should have talked to them more in a formal, like, not sit down, but like I should have mic'd one of them up when I was talking to them, because I did talk to them a little bit, but it was definitely one of my regrets after that I didn't speak to them more.
So, you know, kids, puppies, the American flag, you know, they're just some things that if you have an opportunity to show something of real life, something of, you know, children are innocent and these kids were learning something and they were playing games, and I think that would have helped immeasurably. And it's so rare too that we talk to children anymore, and you had the parents there. It's a really good opportunity. The other thing I would say, and we pushed a little bit on this, but the data was important. I know you were doing a feature, and I think Blake did a good job with, you know, the feature, the feeling of the story, but even if you're doing a feature and feeling, we need data to tell people why that's important, because nobody cares about those kids. They're not my kid. I don't care unless you give me a reason to care. And one important data point about homeschooling, private schools, public schools, not necessarily increased. Homeschooling absolutely has increased, and increased more since the pandemic. So it's an important thing to know. You've got to provide context and relevancy for your story to be considered news. So that's really all I have for you guys.
I would say on that note, even just miking them up while they were playing. Were they playing chess?
They played chess and then Connect 4.
Okay. Connect 4, a very loud game, right? Like
Yeah, the best game.
So good Nats there. Chess, I mean, but like these two kids are playing chess. Put a microphone on them and just like capture that conversation. Also, sometimes is a good way to do it in a less obtrusive way that if kids maybe feel like they're being put on TV, they tend to clam up a little bit. Just throw a microphone on them, maybe step back a little bit, have that conversation from a distance a little. They'll start to open up to each other a little. It's a good way to kind of get in on that. And I would also say that even if you are doing a feature and you can't get the facts in there in a way that feels right, that's a really great anchor outboard. Either a hard lead into your story, hey, look, we're starting to see homeschool numbers really increase across Georgia, and that's having a significant impact on those kids on how they socialize. Here's our feature, here's our reporter bringing you this story, and here's the human aspect of it. Just because there's not necessarily room for it in your package doesn't mean that there's not room for it in the newscast. And that can be a really useful tool for an anchor to also be a subject matter expert. Now they're cheating off of your work because you went and found all that stuff. But like still, number one rule in television is that you don't want to make the anchor look bad. So.
And don't give them the don't save the good stuff and give them the boring stuff, or nobody ever sees your great stuff.
That's true.
I'd just like for you to look at the rundown real quick. Tell me, each of you individually, what you might have led with. Every producer, generally, the art of the science of what you do is that a show can be produced in different ways, and different producers may pick a different lead. I would have picked a different lead than Thumby. That doesn't mean she's wrong and I'm right, but I'm curious what they might have chosen.
Either the new security director or drug trafficking is what.
Did we kill drug trafficking?
We killed drug trafficking.
Okay. Well, congratulations on killing drug trafficking.
There we go. I know. It's over forever. Nobody has to worry.
Led with one of those.
With Jax?
I would have said probably the security director. And I would have made sure that we framed it as like, here's how a local school district is keeping your kids safe tonight.
Right.
They are dedicating a human being to covering the safety of your children while they're at school. And also, there was a really great connection. Both of them, that guy taught at Appalachia, and that the woman you interviewed had friends that were there that day. So really strong connection to that. That probably would have been the lead.
Yeah, and I think Thumby talked about that a little bit. Do you want to talk a little bit about, why you chose differently, or would you have still gone with the choice you had, or what are your thoughts now in the aftermath?
Yeah,
because you had a good reason for not doing that.
That's really great to hear that it would have, that you would have picked that. And I think looking back, maybe seeing that connection there, that would have been a great idea. The reason I chose to go the education route and go that way was just because in the past few weeks, I feel like every single show has kind of touched on Appalachia High School and the shooting. And while that is a very important thing to cover, of course, I just felt like because it was so repetitive that people might kind of tune out a little. And so that's why I chose to, I guess, have it the way it was. And start with the education and the scores of the schools and then move on from there since that was a newer thing. But yeah, had I seen the connection between their, the teacher who taught there and the friends, that would have been a great choice too. Yeah.
So we have to wrap it up now. Thank you so much for joining us today for our show, for our critique. Bye, y'all, and thank you for being here today. It really is a gift. Thank you.